Roughly 500 years ago during the Sengoku period, a boy named Michikatsu Sugikuni was born. He had a twin brother, Yoriichi, who was destined to be sent to a temple when he turned 10 due to his odd birthmark. Yoriichi and Michikatsu grew up very differently, Yoriichi being confined to a small room separated from the rest of the house and kept away from his brother. Michikatsu, who snuck behind their father's back to see his brother, pitied Yoriichi, who was thought to be deaf and clung to his mother's side whenever Michikatsu saw her. At some point, he gave Yoriichi a flute he had made as a gift. Around when Michikatsu was 7, he was practicing sword swings while his brother watched. It was then that Yoriichi spoke for the first time, shocking Michikatsu. However, Yoriichi's declaration of his goal to become a samurai like his brother was dismissed, as he would soon be sent to a temple. Nonetheless, Yoriichi continued to watch Michikatsu's training, and one day, one of their father's men offered to give Yoriichi some instruction. Though he only showed Yoriichi a basic stance, the boy was able to land 4 blows on the man. This incident bewildered Michikatsu, who had never before landed a blow, and he begged his brother to teach him his secret. To Michikatsu's disappointment, Yoriichi only expressed his distaste for combat and stated that he no longer wanted to become a samurai. Once, however, Yoriichi mentioned that before he took a stance, he breathed deeply, examining his bone alignment, muscle contraction, and blood flow, implying an early form of the sun-breathing style that Yoriichi would later adopt. This conversation caused Michikatsu to realize that for Yoriichi, the bodies of living things were transparent, causing him to pursue mastery of the blade with renewed intensity. Before we continue any further, we want to thank Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. If you've heard of Raid, you know it's got a ton of champions, over 600 now, but it's also got a ton of badass bosses that fight in totally unique ways. Let's take a look at one now, Sir Galleroth, Guardian of the Arcane Keep. Unlike most of the other bosses, this dude is actually a pretty nice guy. He is guarding arcane potions, and he's checking to see if you are worthy of getting your hands on them. To do that, you've got to beat him up, which can be a little tricky. His main mechanic is in his basic attack. It deals a ton of extra damage to any champion without buffs, so your mission is to keep buffs on your team at any cost. Seems easy, but it's complicated by the boss left minion, and trust me, this guy is so annoying. Raid's got a ton happening this month, with a fresh rotation of the brutal Hydra boss, and a ton of events and tournaments every single day, including some special Valentine's Day events where you can get your hands on a brand new legendary champion. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you click my link in the description or scan my QR code, you'll get cool bonuses. We're talking a free epic champion, 𝗲𝗲, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. The rewards will be waiting for you here. As Michikatsu studied the sword, he felt envious of his brother, who he felt was squandering his natural physical talent. He also feared that, now that their father likely knew about Yoriichi's immense potential, their roles would be swapped and he would be the one sent to the temple in Yoriichi's place. Yoriichi recognized this as well, the night that their mother finally succumbed to her illness. He came to Michikatsu's room at 3 in the morning to tell his brother the news and bid him farewell, as he planned to leave for the temple before their father could make Yoriichi the family's new successor. Yoriichi expressed gratitude to his brother and fondly held the flute that Michikatsu had given him earlier. Michikatsu, however, was irritated, wondering how Yoriichi could treasure a flute that couldn't even play in tune, and watched his brother depart while saying nothing. His jealousy of his brother only grew when he read his mother's diary following her death, which revealed that Yoriichi had known everything about their mother's illness and had planned accordingly. From then on, Michikatsu resented Yoriichi, who he realized to be not only physically gifted, but a genius as well. He wished for his brother's death and for the next few years. Not hearing anything from him, he believed it to be true. 10 years later, Michikatsu became a samurai and married a woman who gave birth to 2 of his children. One night, a demon attacked his camp and left him the only survivor, but was quickly killed by Yoriichi, who came to his rescue and apologized for not being able to save his subordinates. Seeing the object of his hatred again and twisted by jealousy, Michikatsu abandoned his family and became a demon slayer to train with Yoriichi. He saw his brother attempt to teach the other demon slayers his own breathing technique without success. Regardless, he altered them to suit their own strength, creating the first breathing techniques. Eventually, Michikatsu awakened a demon slayer mark and developed a breathing style derived from the sun breathing, known as the moon breathing. Despite this accomplishment, it left a bitter taste as it was still not as powerful as Yoriichi's own sun breathing. As a demon slayer, Michikatsu was often prideful in the uniqueness of their generation, but was irritated by his brother's optimism when he brought up the fact that the pair had no successors in line for their unique breathing styles, the sun breathing and moon breathing. Frustrated from being unable to surpass his brother, as well as fearing the fated death of those who awakened their demon slayer marks, Michikatsu was persuaded by Muzan Kibutsuji and became a demon, taking the name Kokushibo. Because he was also a breathing user, it took him 3 days to fully transform into a demon. Eventually, he became the upper rank 1 of the 12 Kizuki, remaining at that rank for hundreds of years, while his original name was lost to history. 60 years after becoming a demon, he came face to face with Yoruichi for the last time. Yoruichi was devastated by his decision to transform, whereas Kokushibo became disgusted seeing his younger twin now aged and decrepit, as well as infuriated upon realizing he defied the fate of all marked demon slayers by being far older than 25 years of age. Seeing Yoruichi cry shocked Kokushibo, as it was the first time he had shown emotion in his presence, confusing him. Wishing to erase his human past, he knew he had to kill his younger brother. Despite his old age and apparent blindness, Yoruichi's fighting stance in preparation to strike frightened Kokushibo, who realized that his immense skill and power were still present. Despite gripping his blade in anticipation, Yoruichi had already struck and sliced across his neck. Kokushibo became angry seeing his brother's strength had not weakened in the slightest, and waited for a return strike, despite knowing it would certainly kill him. Yoruichi never had the chance to cut Kokushibo's head entirely off, dying due to old age while standing up. At that moment, Kokushibo became truly furious, seeing that his continually excelling brother had appeared before him, having transcended everything, and died of old age instead of losing a battle, as well as knowing that even Muzan couldn't lay a scratch on Yoruichi. His one chance at a fair battle is now gone, and his brother remains undefeated forever. Enraged by the feeling of inferiority, he slashed Yoruichi's body in half, but inadvertently broke the flute he gave him as a child. Seeing that he still thought highly of him even after his transformation, Kokushibo couldn't help but shed a tear. Unable to truly sever his bond with his brother, he decided to keep the flute for himself. Kokushibo was summoned to a meeting of the upper ranks, arriving before all of his colleagues. He silently sat facing a wall, only speaking when his presence was acknowledged by the Biwa demon, and revealing that Muzan had arrived. Muzan revealed the death of Gyutaro, berating Kokushibo and his fellow upper ranks for being unable to destroy the Ubiyashiki family and failing to find the blue spider lily. Kokushibo admitted that he had nothing to say in his defense, as Kagaya Ubuyashiki had cleverly hidden himself. After Akaza brutally destroyed Doma's head, Kokushibo covertly sliced off the former's hand, stating he had gone too far. He explained to Doma that he had not interfered for his benefit, but for the preservation of the hierarchy of the upper ranks system. He then told Akaza to arrange for a blood battle if he wanted to take Doma's position, asking him if he understood what he was being told. Akaza acknowledged this fact, promising to kill the high-ranking upper rank, which Kokushibo wished him luck before departing. During a meeting of the Hashira reporting the appearance of strange marks, Amon Ubuyashiki recalls that these marks were common among a select few users of the original breathing style, Kokushibo having been one of those few. Kagaku remembers his encounter with Kokushibo while engaging Zenitsu. Then, Kokushibo overwhelmed him and he quickly surrendered. But he decided to give Kagaku a second chance and offered him a large amount of Muzan's blood, hoping Muzan would accept him, so he could take a place among the upper ranks. Kokushibo told the Demon Slayer to be grateful for his gift, but threatened to behead him should he spill a drop. Following Akaza's death, Kokushibo is seen alone, murmuring how Akaza had abandoned his path to reach further heights and how he had failed to defeat Kokushibo, and reprimanded him for how weak he is. Shortly after, Moichiro Tokito is transported to the same room as Kokushibo. Kokushibo then comments, "You came, Demon Slayer. For some reason, you seem familiar." He then deduces that Moichiro is a descendant of a child he left behind after becoming a demon. He also deduces that his human surname of Sugikuni has died out over the generations. After Moichiro calms himself down and performs various styles from the mist breathing, his demon-slaying mark appears. Kokushibo then compliments how accomplished Moichiro is as a swordsman at such a young age. Kokushibo states that it must be due to the powerful blood he passed down, although Moichiro dismisses such claims. After some more battling, Kokushibo manages to cut off Moichiro's arm. Moichiro quickly tightens his arm to stop the bleeding, greatly impressing Kokushibo. However, Moichiro is effortlessly defeated when Kokushibo impales him with his own sword. Kokushibo then offers Moichiro the opportunity to become a demon and be of use to that man. This discussion is, however, interrupted by Genya shooting his Nichiren gun. Kokushibo effortlessly avoids the gunshot, appearing behind Genya and then proceeding to cut off both his arms and his torso in half, commenting that, I see. You're the one who's been eating demons, huh? However, he realizes that Genya is unlike the other imitation demon from 300 years ago, and that the way to kill him is the same way regular demons are killed, by chopping off their head. Before he has the opportunity to do this, Genya is saved by his brother, Sanami. After Genya apologizes for everything he's done to Sanami, Kokushibo states, Brothers and demon slayers. That brings back memories. Sanemi and Kokushibo then begin their intense duel, with Kokushibo being slightly taken aback at the skill of the Wind Hashira. However, he retains his composure and states that he wouldn't be able to survive if his senses weren't honed from long experience. This goes on for some time, with Kokushibo even stating that long ago, in the Sengoku era, he gained a lot of experience fighting against a similarly strong Wind Hashira. Kokushibo then gets a good enough cut on Sanemi, stating that moving would lead to his entrails spilling out. Sanemi proceeds to laugh hysterically, boasting the fact that he had Marechi blood. Sanemi uses his abnormal body and breathing skills to control his muscles to coagulate the blood and stop the bleeding as much as possible. After some struggling and Kokushibo showing glee at the opportunity to fight such a skilled swordsman, he was about to deal a finishing blow until Gyome, the stone Hashira, arrived. Kokushibo was unable to retain himself, openly stating that he admired Gyome's peak physical form. Following an intense back-and-forth battle, Gyome reveals his trump card he meant to save for Muzan, his demon-slaying mark. Kokushibo then confirms that he too has the demon-slaying mark, almost showing sympathy towards Gyome. He reveals the caveat of the demon-slaying mark. Without exception, the marked ones die before they reach the age of 25, stating that the mark reduces life expectancy and that Gyome should be dead by the end of the night since he's 27 years old. After an existential discussion of what it means to be a demon slayer and a human, Kokushibo offers Gyome an opportunity to become a demon so he can survive and continue to hone his craft the same way he has. Gyome outright rejects the offer and states that Kokushibo stated one falsehood. There must have been someone who lived past the age of 25 after reviewing their mark. Kokushibo then appears to be somewhat shaken, but the two continue their intense battle. After Sanemi manages to stitch his wound, he rejoins the fray as the two now face Kokushibo in a 2-on-1 battle. Kokushibo notes with surprise the ease with which they are able to cooperate despite being users of two different breaths. The three of them continue their battle until suddenly, Sanemi and Gyome are cut by what appears to be an elongated sword with 3 blades extending from the sides, 2 from one side and 1 on the other. Kokushibo now appears to be completely serious in his encounter, angrily stating, "You merely shredded my kimono, not even enough to kill an infant. Once I dispatch you two, the rest will proceed easily," implying that Gyome and Sanemi are the two most powerful demon slayers in the current generation. In the meantime, Moichiro manages to free himself from the pillar. With a little life left in him, he helps Genya by reattaching his body and feeding him a clump of Kokushibo's hair. Genya then feels power he's never felt before, but more importantly, appears to directly hear Muzan's voice, asking Kokushibo how many Hashira he has defeated, indicating that Muzan is likely still incapacitated by the initial explosion and the blood demon art Tamayo performed on him. The battle then begins to pick up, Kokushibo's attacks increasing with both intensity and frequency. He is able to sever 2 of Sanami's fingers, and both swordsmen are reduced to putting all of their efforts into simply avoiding his attacks. Right as it seems that Sanemi is about to lose, Moichiro rejoins the battle, saving the other Hashira just in time. Genya, who is hiding from the battle behind a wall, recalls a conversation he had with Tanjiro about being the weakest person in a battle, and, motivated by this, swallows a broken piece of Kokushibo's blade in order to gain its abilities. The advantage seems to again shift to Kokushibo, but in an unexpected turn of events, Gyome is able to sever the upper rank's right arm while Moichiro stabs him through the torso, immobilizing him while Genya unleashes a barrage of bullets on the demon using his gun, which he altered using his own cells in a similar manner to the Kokushibo's sword. The bullets embedded into the demon's flesh then erupt into trees, completely trapping him as Gyome and Sanemi rush in to finish him off. The sensation disturbs Kokushibo, who is reminded of an encounter from 400 years ago in which Yorichi was able to land a hit on his neck, something that no one managed to accomplish since then. Enraged by the thought of being defeated, Kokushibo sprouts multiple blades from his body and severely injures all demon slayers. Still, the 4 charge onwards undeterred. As Moichiro's blade turns red, seemingly seeing Kokushibo's organs, Genya unleashes another blood demon art, rooting another tree in Kokushibo's back while Gyome lands a blow on Kokushibo's head with his flail and Sanemi rushes in with his sword. Their weapons all begin to turn red, and, struck with thoughts of his brother, Kokushibo marvels at how the demon slayers who came after them have risen up to surpass them. However, wonder soon gives way to rage as Kokushibo's head is cut off and, to the horror of the 4 demon slayers, Kokushibo regrows it. Kokushibo begins to celebrate, boasting to himself that now he has conquered death by beheading. Any attacks thrown at him are now rendered meaningless. However, his triumph gives way to disbelief when he sees himself in the reflection of Sanemi's blade. His new form is monstrous, with tusks and spikes protruding from his head, face, and back. Disgusted by his new appearance, he recalls his original motivation to be the strongest samurai in the country and wonders if the path he has taken is what he really wanted. While he reflects on his motivations, Guillaume is able to crush his head with his flail, again beheading Kokushibo. The upper rank attempts to regenerate, but to his disbelief, his flesh begins to crumble away, and he is rendered unable to use his blood demon art as a result of Moichiro's red blade stuck in his body. As he falls to the ground, disintegrating, he reflects bitterly that he only wanted to be like Yoriichi. He realizes that the one thing he wanted to forget so badly, he can remember vividly: Yoriichi's face. While his life flashed before him, he admits that he abandoned everything and in the end, has achieved nothing by killing his only remaining blood relative and betraying his samurai code. In his final moments, he questioned why he was ever born, calling to his brother for an answer, before fading away completely and leaving only his broken flute behind. Click on this video where we explain the entire story of Yoriichi Sugikuni.